Do you find yourself constantly doubting your style choices or criticizing what you wear? Today I'm going to talk about how to change your self-talk so that you can actually start loving your personal style. How to stop criticizing your style and start loving it. That's what we're going to talk about today. Often the negative style self-talk is something that we're not even aware that we do. I have clients who don't recognize that that's what's actually happening in their brains when we first start to work together. So I'm hopeful that today's video will help shed some light on this situation if it is happening for you and keeping you stuck in a style that you don't love. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. I am a style and mindset coach, and what that means is I work with women in order to help them create a sense of style that they really truly love, a style that feels authentic and fabulous and is effortless and easy to wear. And I do that with all the traditional kind of tips and tricks and strategies and methods about building a great wardrobe that you love, and understanding how to shop and becoming a better shopper and knowing how to pack for a trip and edit your wardrobe and all of that. And I approach it from a mindset angle. I believe that the most important element of creating a style you absolutely love and building a wardrobe that you really truly wear and that supports your life begins by paying attention to your thinking. So today I'm going to chat about self-criticism, about the negative self-talk that we have when we get dressed or when we shop or when we pack for a trip, any number of ways it can show up regarding getting dressed. I want to talk about how damaging it is, kind of how it happens, what to look for, and then give you some tips for how to overcome it and a specific strategy at the end that I really like and use in my own life that I'm going to kind of walk you through here. So self-criticism with regard to your wardrobe and getting dressed really takes the fun out of fashion and style. Getting dressed is a place where you can express yourself and really truly feel authentic and have an identity and kind of a signature look. And if all you're doing is criticizing yourself, or if there is kind of this background noise that is negative self-talk, it really takes the fun out of what style is supposed to be, which is this self-expression. And so I want to talk about how that negative self-talk can keep you stuck and can be contributing to a wardrobe that isn't really lighting you up, and what to do about it. There are 4 major things I'm going to cover today, and they are: number 1, how self-criticism affects your personal style. Number 2, why self-compassion is essential to building style self-trust. Number 3, give you actionable steps for embracing your style self-trust and knocking off the self-criticism that may have been happening for years. And 4th, how to create a style journal so that you can track your progress and celebrate your wins. So what is self-criticism in your style? Self-criticism in your style is that negative talk that might run in the background all the time. It might be quiet sometimes, and then it gets louder sometimes, depending on the situation. It is that voice in your head that tells you that you're doing something wrong, or that you're not good enough, or that you always pick the wrong thing. Your tummy's gotten a little too thick, and now you can't wear a belt, and now your outfit looks terrible. Or you never have the right shoes, and if you had it together more, you would have the right shoes, and then your outfit would look better. It's all sorts of, why did you buy a cream sweater again? You already have 6 of them, and you never wear them. It's that voice in your head that isn't usually very kind, that is running the show and kind of keeping the dialogue alive of, you're not doing this right. You are not getting style right, and shame on you. And it's a scolding sense of, you could be doing this better and you blew it again. And nobody likes that. You wouldn't say those things to your friend or to your kids or to someone on the street, my guess is. And so we really need to notice when we're doing it before we can shift it. But that self-criticism about your style, about your body, about your budget, about anything to do with your wardrobe is what we're addressing today. And I find that this self-criticizing voice kind of holds your style back in a few different ways. It first shows up often as procrastination, and it creates this sense of style stuckness. And because the voice is constantly criticizing and telling you that what you're doing isn't good enough or isn't right, or that you've made a mistake again, or that you've completely botched this outfit, that tends to lead toward procrastination, because your brain becomes smart enough to know that you shouldn't try something new in the realm of style, because that criticism is going to come right up. And so you begin to resist taking action because you fear not doing it right. And so you hold back and you don't do anything, or you keep doing the things that aren't actually making you look and feel amazing in your clothing. So there's this sense of procrastination, which perpetuates the stuckness that you feel in your style. It perpetuates those style struggles that you're having, because you keep feeling like you're not doing it right, but then you hold back for fear of not doing it right and to try to maybe quiet that voice. And so the self-criticism just leads to procrastination. The next thing that can happen with this self-criticism is fear of judgment. And I find that this shows up in the sense that what we think others are thinking about us is almost always what we're thinking about ourselves. So if we believe that someone is going to say that our outfit doesn't match, or that we're too dressed up, or that we don't look put together, or that our pants are too tight, it's because we're already thinking it about ourselves, and that self-criticism is already happening. And so then we believe that there is reason to fear the judgment of others because we kind of project what we're thinking onto others. And so that also just kind of perpetuates this idea that we don't love our style and we're not doing anything about it because we have this fear of judgment. And that self-criticism is us criticizing ourselves and also believing that others are going to notice the thing that we're criticizing in ourselves. And it also undermines your style confidence. It undermines that style self-trust that you're trying to grow so that getting dressed and shopping and packing and editing and all of the things that have to do with getting dressed are easy and effortless and really just work. And they're kind of like a well-oiled machine. And so if you have this nagging self-talk that is not very nice to you when you get dressed, it tends to undermine and erode any confidence that you may have had. And so maybe at some point it felt like you could get dressed really easily, and then some circumstance in your life has changed and now it feels like more of a struggle. And if the talk now is more, you never do this right and all of your clothes are too tight or they're not right for the occasion, you don't have anything to wear on a date, and now you're dating again, you don't have anything to wear out to lunch with friends, and you just moved to a new town. And why are you spending money on more loungewear when what you should be wearing, what you should be buying is clothing to wear to a date or out to lunch. It's just once you start to pause and pay attention to it, once you recognize the chatter that is going on in your head, and I'm merely speaking to style. Obviously, this chatter goes on in every area of our lives for all of us. It's part of what the human brain does. And if you are struggling with your style, recognizing that criticizing voice, that negative self-talk, is the first step towards changing it. Because if we don't recognize it without awareness, we can't change anything. And so once we see and hear, wow, I am actually beating myself up for not having a pair of jeans that I love, maybe I could try a little bit of kindness toward myself. Once we begin to shift it, that self-confidence begins to grow because we're not afraid that by trying on all the jeans in our closet, we're going to just be berated by ourselves for not having a pair that fits at this stage in our lives and not having done anything about it yet and all of that. So your style self-trust, that confidence to actually make the right choice with your wardrobe, takes a hit every time there is a looping negative thought and a self-criticism about what you're wearing or how you're wearing it or how long it took you to get dressed or whatever the thoughts are. And the other thing is we can get really, really stuck in comparison, which is super difficult and often creates a lot of negative chatter in our minds because we don't think that we can stand up against the women who are doing it better, the women who are getting dressed with ease and have better style and bigger budgets and what we deem better bodies. And so that comparison, which is so easy at this point in our world to actually at our fingertips be able to see so many other women who we think are doing it, more exceptionally than we are, getting dressed better than we are. We really, truly get that constant hit of negativity from our own brain when we play the comparison game and when we are constantly looking at what others are doing in their style and their wardrobe and how they're getting dressed and what they're wearing. Certainly there is a place for inspiration from others. That is amazing. And yes, it should be used that way. And when we fall into the trap of constantly comparing ourselves to others, it really, truly just adds to that negative self-talk and that self-criticism that is not allowing us to just create a wardrobe we absolutely love wearing. And style therapy is how I work one-on-one with women. And inside style therapy, part of the work that we do is helping you to really understand your thoughts and really learn how to manage your mind. Because when the negative thoughts and the self-criticism are just looping automatically and you don't know how to kind of put them on pause or, kind of put the brake on a little bit and get them to slow down so that you can look at them and recognize them and really understand where they're coming from and choose different thoughts. Because The negative self-talk and the self-criticism that's going on about your style is preventing you from having the style results you want. And so by understanding what those thoughts are and where they're coming from and learning how to choose different thoughts, how to bridge the gap between the negative self-talk and the positive self-talk, there are kind of some ladder steps or some bridge thoughts that you can take to get you to the other side. Because your brain, if it's been practicing this self-criticism around getting dressed for any amount of time, it's really good at it. And that loop is really strong and the groove is really deep. Whatever kind of visual helps you, whether it's a groove or a loop or a path, it's really well worn. And so to move into a different line of thinking is what's needed in order to shift your mindset and begin to create the results you want in your closet and your wardrobe. And in order to do that, you need to recognize the negative self-talk. So inside Style Therapy, we do a lot of work to really uncover what are you thinking? Because oftentimes we don't see it. I work with women all the time who tell me kind of mid-process of Style Therapy, I had no idea this is what was happening. I had a client who repeatedly was drawn to, gravitated towards, bought really bright, beautiful silk blouses. Sometimes they were kind of a graphic pattern, sometimes they were a bold floral, but they were colorful and they were luxurious fabrics and beautiful cuts. And she was not wearing them. And she kept wondering why she wasn't wearing them and really scolding herself and criticizing herself for spending this money on these blouses and having occasions to wear them to and never putting them on. Inside Style Therapy, as we did this work, she uncovered that there was a woman in her neighborhood when she was a child who always wore bright colored blouses. And her mother referred to this woman as conceited and arrogant and kind of full of herself. And so my client, many, many years later, long into adulthood, still had this connection between a bright blouse and being showy and kind of obnoxious and self-centered and arrogant because of this neighbor, who may or may not have been that, but that was what she grew up hearing from her mom. And so she really, once she could see this criticism is happening in my brain, even though I don't understand where it came from, I believed that I would be seen as arrogant if I wore these beautiful blouses, yet I'm so drawn to them. They are colors and fabrics and patterns that I love, but I couldn't bring myself to put them on. And I was really, really beating myself up and scolding myself for buying them and not wearing them. Now I understand that my brain was connecting a beautiful bright colored silk blouse to arrogance and to being showy and conceited. And that is not at all what my client was or how she presented herself. And once she could identify the negative self-talk and the criticism that was happening and the root of it, she now wears those beautiful blouses happily. Often there's no connection to that old story, but we had to uncover that first. We had to get to that root so that we could really, truly train her brain that it's totally safe to wear a brightly colored blouse and feel amazing in it. Self-compassion and treating yourself with kindness is vital to building style self-trust. And one of the things that I do when I work with clients inside Style Therapy is have them find a picture of themselves as a child. And it's always sort of this interesting, situation. And then I'm always thrilled when I get to see the little girl version of the women I work with. And I have them do this because that self-talk that is so unkind is usually quickly brought to a halt when they consider speaking to their younger self with that tone and using those words. And so by posting that photo somewhere, whether it's in their closet, whether it's on their bathroom mirror, they really begin to identify as not only their adult, capable, competent self, but also as that little girl who still lives inside of them. And it helps to bridge the gap and create kinder thoughts as the automatic thought, because when they catch themselves saying something unkind and kind of beating themselves down, they quickly realize, well, I wouldn't say that to that little girl. I wouldn't speak to her that way. So how can I reframe what I'm thinking and ask it or say it in a kinder way? So this sense of self-compassion and kindness towards that little girl version of you who still lives inside of you, that really begins to shift this criticizing voice that has been in your head for so long. It begins to quiet that and allow you to approach the whole style situation with more compassion, which quickly builds style self-trust so that loving your style and loving getting dressed can be much easier. So along those lines, I have 3 tips for really beginning to do this work in your own wardrobe and in your own life, where learning to kind of quiet the the loud and sometimes harsh voice, the criticizing voice, and tap into how you would speak to yourself if you were still a little girl. Really, truly beginning to play with that, as silly as it can sound, makes a huge difference. So the first tip is paying attention to your inner dialogue. When you hear yourself being unkind with that inner dialogue around your style, really recognize it and pause and reframe, kind of change the thought into something kinder, something you would say to that little girl version. So if you put on a pair of jeans and you hear that start about, I can't believe these don't fit, these jeans used to be your favorite and you've now gained 5 pounds and you can't even button them anymore, they look terrible on you, really pause and consider, look at that picture and consider, would I speak to that version of me like that? And possibly, if you grew up in a situation where that is how you were spoken to as a child, it will be a little bit difficult initially. Certainly, it will bring up some feelings that could be difficult to feel, and it will be a little difficult to possibly practice that kindness. If that's how you were raised and that's automatic for you, it might be difficult for you to shift into the compassion, but I urge you to stay with it and to practice that inner dialogue in a new way. And instead of, I'm terrible because I gained some weight and now these jeans don't fit, really truly loving your body as it is a practice, and understanding that jeans are not designed to fit our body for, years and years and years. It is completely okay that things change as we age, our bodies change, and that's okay. And nothing has gone wrong. And also looking at what positive things can you find about the jeans. Let's say you can't wear those jeans today. What do you love about those jeans, and what would you take from those jeans when looking for a new pair that actually fit your today body? If you put together an outfit and it's not quite right, really recognizing after you notice that self-criticism, really recognizing, okay, what is working about this outfit? What do I like about this? What's the one piece that needs to change? Because often we kind of want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to decide, well, this whole outfit is junk. It doesn't work. None of it works. I'm going to go back to my lazy go-tos, pull on the sweatpants or the yoga clothes because that's easy. Instead, pause a second and really look at, with an encouraging eye and an encouraging voice, like you would to that childhood version of yourself, okay, well, what is working? What can we salvage here? What can we keep for the outfit we're going to wear today? And what maybe 1 or 2 pieces need to be swapped out? If I change the shoes, will I like the whole look better? If I put on a different pair of earrings, will the whole thing kind of come together better? Really, truly look at it as kind of a teachable moment and a learning opportunity for you to treat yourself with the kindness that you would your little girl version, and really begin to recognize what's working. And then the second tip would be to understand that personal style is always evolving. I think so often women who I work with have this idea that they just want to get it figured out for once and for all. They want to edit out all that isn't working and buy the pieces that they need, and then it'll be done forever. And I would like that to happen with regard to making dinner and grocery shopping. I would like to do it once and have it be done forever. And yet I recognize that that's just my brain's way of saying you're not really great at cooking. And so if you could just make one casserole that would last your family for the rest of the year, that would be ideal. And yet I think everyone, including myself, would get pretty sick of eating that same casserole for the entire rest of the year. It's the same with style. If you dialed in your wardrobe perfectly right now, this season, and then next fall comes around and you're not allowed to buy anything else and all of that clothing still fits your body and it's all in good condition and it's all still working for the life you live, and you couldn't buy one more piece or you couldn't get rid of something that kind of has run its course, I think you would be kind of irritated. Like, I don't think that is really what we're after. And yet I often hear women say, well, I just want to figure this out for once and for all. That doesn't allow for any self-expression. What we want to do is get rid of the struggles, get rid of the stuckness, so that you feel confident that every season, whatever needs to happen in your style and your wardrobe, you will be able to make those decisions with confidence and find those pieces and put together the new looks for the new occasions or whatever your life needs might be, that you'll be able to do that with the style self-trust that makes it so there isn't any drama, there aren't any hangups, your brain doesn't get stuck in the self-criticism, because you understand that style is evolving and it should be changing, and it's a beautiful thing that it changes. And if there's a trend coming up that is absolutely meant for you, you don't want to not be able to dive into that. So recognizing and accepting that this isn't a once and done, this is something that is going to be going on, for the rest of your life. Your style will be evolving in some way, and Learning to let go of the self-criticism will make it so that as your style evolves, it doesn't feel overwhelming and really charging as far as the drama involved in your brain to have to buy something new or to have to edit your wardrobe or to have to organize or to have to build new outfits. That you're willing to do that because you accept that the evolution of style is something that is continuous. And the third tip is definitely to stop comparing yourself to others. Give yourself permission to stop comparing yourself to others, to not judge yourself based on what anyone else is doing. This is a personal journey. It's personal style. You do not need to look like anyone else. You do not need to have the same pieces in your wardrobe. You want to create a wardrobe that works for you and the life that you live and that lights you up when you wear it. And while inspiration is one thing, that constant comparison and feeling like you're coming up short is just contributing to that self-criticizing talk that gets so strong if we allow it. And there are so many opportunities to keep comparing ourselves to others online every single minute of every day. And I urge you to put the pause on that, to really, truly break the cycle of comparing yourself to others. I just want to run through 4 actionable ways that you can begin to build your style self-trust and quiet this self-criticism that may have been running in the background for a very long time. The first action step is to really, truly pay attention to how you feel and how you want to feel in your clothing. This matters truly more than how you want to look, because when we really, truly feel incredible in our clothing, we generally look pretty good. And I have women who come to me when we first start to work together in style therapy who really believe that they feel best in comfortable loungewear clothing, that those lazy go-tos that they've been wearing on repeat. Well, Kristen, that is how I feel the best. Those are the most comfortable on my body. I feel the best in those, but I don't look the best in those. And when we really begin to look at the pieces in their wardrobe and how they're utilizing them and how they actually feel in their body when they put that outfit on and look at themselves, they recognize that it's kind of like a security blanket, that those pieces make them feel safe because they don't have to take any risk and they don't have to step beyond the self-criticism, other than if they're telling themselves you should get out of your yoga clothes or you should get out of the sweatpants. But they've done that for long enough that they're willing to listen to that voice. That feels safer than the risk of putting together a new outfit and then not having it turn out the way they wanted. So I want to emphasize that how you feel in your clothing usually will lead to looking the way you want to look. We want to pay attention to how you look and feel, but the feeling comes first. So how do you want to feel in your clothes? How do you feel in your clothes? If you feel genuinely good in your clothing, you usually look good. The second action step would be to allow yourself to experiment without any judgment. Put that, like in an old tape recorder where you can push stop, and there's a big clunking sound. Push stop in your brain to that self-criticism just for a half an hour while you experiment with some different options, or for an entire day while you wear something unexpected out of the house. Quiet the self-criticism by giving yourself permission to experiment. Play with what's in your closet with no risk. Allow yourself to do it and reassure your brain that this is just experimental, that you maybe aren't going to wear this out of the house. You're just going to play around for a half an hour and try things. So it doesn't have to criticize you. It doesn't have to say negative, nasty things. You're just trying to get a handle on what works in your wardrobe, what makes you feel a certain way, what lights you up, what feels good against your skin, what doesn't fit anymore. So just give your brain kind of the afternoon off and let it take a break and allow yourself to experiment without automatically judging what you're trying on and how you're experimenting. And then the third action step would be, and you've probably heard me say this before, develop an outfit formula that you love. There's far less chance of negative self-talk and criticism when you have on something that you know works. When you go to get dressed and you've already created the formula, the kind of uniform, and you know it works and you like it. We're not talking about the lazy go-to uniform that you've been putting on for a long time but don't feel lit up in. We're talking about really taking some time, and again, doing this with the judgment button turned off so that you can really play around and allow yourself to do it and come up with some new outfit formulas that you genuinely feel incredible in. And recognize, what those are so that you can repeat them. Because once you have kind of a foolproof formula for how you want to look and feel when you get dressed, and you actually know what pieces create that feeling and that look for you, then your brain doesn't have a whole lot to say because you have it on repeat. You have it on kind of auto dial, speed dial, whatever you want to call it. You have it dialed in so that there isn't any room for that noise in your brain because your brain can see that, oh, she's figured this out. I don't have to actually tell her all the negative things because this outfit actually works for her and I can support her and see that it's supporting her. And then action step number 4 would be to get dressed for yourself, to really, truly pay most attention to what you want to wear, what you like, what lights you up, what you feel good in, what colors, what fabrics, what shapes, what styles. We have so much input from the people in our lives and from social media and the internet and from people who are working in stores. There is so much input that it often allows our own brain to be quiet about what we really like and loud about what isn't working and, that negative self-talk again. Allow yourself to really, truly get dressed for you, because by getting dressed for you, you can show up as the fullest, most authentic version of yourself and feel incredible in your clothing. You're not getting dressed for anyone else. And if you are, there is often a place in your brain that doesn't love that. And so there's some criticism and negative self-talk, even if it's just, well, I have to wear this combination that the girl at the shop picked out because I am terrible at putting together outfits and I'll definitely mess it up. So I can only wear the things that I'm sold head to toe. Or my sister said this top looks really great on me, so I have to wear this because she said it looks great on me, so it must. And if I discard it or, edit it out, donate it to someone, then I must be a fool because she says it looks great on me every time she sees me in it. That isn't getting dressed for you, and it isn't growing your style self-trust and your belief that you do know how to get dressed and have it work for you. And so get dressed for yourself, not for anybody else. At the end of the day, you're the person who has to look in the mirror and be in the clothing and love how you look and feel. So try to remove everybody else's opinions and do that just for you. Okay, now, as promised, I want to give you a little bit of info about a tool that I really, truly love, and that is a style journal. If you have not ever kept a style journal, it's super easy. You can do it on paper or you can do it on your phone. And it really is just a matter of, do you want to have photos or do you not care about the photos and it's really more a journaling kind of thought exercise for you? You can do both combined. So a style journal is merely a place where you keep track of what's going on with your style. Because by keeping track of what's going on with our style, especially in kind of a written or a visual version, we can begin to separate the self-criticism and the negative self-talk from what is actually happening. If our brain is just looping how terrible things are, we don't ever notice or celebrate the wins. We don't have the opportunity to kind of grow our self-trust that says, we're doing okay with this. Yes, we still have some things we want to work out. There are some areas we, want to continue to refine, but we're actually better at this than we thought. And I find that with my clients and myself included, one of the fastest ways to begin to gain traction is to keep a style journal. So the style journal, as I said, it can be on your phone. You can do it in your notes app where you can take a photo of an outfit once you're dressed. And then you can use the notes app to, kind of type out thoughts about the outfit, how you feel in it, what went well with it, what didn't go well, what you could maybe try differently if you didn't love it head to toe. Really, truly beginning to keep track of what's happening when you get dressed, both in your mind and on your physical body with the pieces that you're wearing together. You can also do this just in a blank book where you would just take, a pen and write down the pieces that you wore today and how you felt in them. What we want to do is separate what's happening in your brain from what's actually happening. The brain creates so much drama and so much noise. And when we can separate the two and actually look at a photograph or look at the written word and our notes about it, it removes some of the drama. I had a client recently tell me that it was more like business. She was editing her wardrobe and had been having trouble making decisions about pieces. And once we talked about a way for her to sort things, she came back to me and said, it was so much easier this way because I just looked at it as a business. I just looked at it as a kind of a business task that I needed to finish. And that's exactly what a style journal does. It removes the drama because you're just looking at it kind of factually. This is what I wore today. This is how I felt. And it can be very emotional. It doesn't have to just be factual. But what we want is for you to get the facts down so that you can really evaluate what worked about this outfit, what didn't, what would you do differently. And so within your style journal, you want to have some sort of daily reflection. You want to take a photo of what you're wearing and or don't take a photo if that's not, if you don't want to do the photos, although they're so helpful, and likely you have a phone that will quickly snap a mirror selfie, or someone in your family, or you can prop it up against a window so that you could take a picture of yourself, because that documentation is gold when you are doing the work of really elevating and kind of revamping your style. So that's a daily reflection. And then kind of at the end of the week, or whenever you think of it, if it's midweek, definitely by the end of the week, you want to keep track of your wins. You want to write down, and this is one of the things too, inside style therapy, women are always kind of like, wow, I didn't think I had any wins. They come to me pretty sure they don't have any wins. And then once they start to identify that things are working and they are having success and good results, even though their brain is just very busy telling them all the criticizing things that they're not doing right yet, we want to celebrate the wins. So track what is happening and what is a win, however small. Your brain will pretty quickly early on start to want to negate any little tiny win. Well, that doesn't count. I want every teeny tiny morsel of a win to count. I want you to keep track of what is going right with regard to your style. And then over time, and this might take a couple of weeks or a month, you want to start to identify patterns. You want to start to recognize, well, what pieces am I wearing when I am having the best day? For me, probably it's blue jeans. So if I am not wearing blue jeans, my style journal would probably have some stuff come up that wasn't as fabulous as the day that I'm wearing blue jeans. So you want to start to recognize, wow, every time I wore those jeans or any blue jeans, if that's true for you also, I actually had a really great day. Or every time I wore those shoes, I just didn't feel like the outfit looked great. Maybe I need to assess whether those are the best shoes for me to have right now, or whether I could wear them in a different way to make them better. Every time I wore this outfit, I didn't love it, but then when I wore it again and I put a scarf on it, I loved it. Really, truly start to recognize what patterns are emerging. I feel amazing when I wear cream sweaters. I do not like the couple white sweaters that are in my closet. Whatever is happening, you will begin to be able to see a pattern. And again, this is removing you from the drama of the negative self-talk, because you can look at it from a more analytical place. You've collected some data, and now you can look at that data and you can decide what is happening here. You can analyze it, but without the criticism, because you really truly have some facts to work with now. And then when you're ready, however far in the process this is for you, set some style goals. And I recognize that this can be difficult because it just all feels like a style goal. And yet if you can identify what is the outcome you're looking for and begin to identify ways that you can start to get there, little baby steps, kind of stepping stones to get you to the style goal that you're after, you have something to work towards, and you are, again, quieting the noise, because even if that negative self-talk starts to come up, you can remind it, well, I'm working toward this goal. So I understand that today this might still be how I'm feeling or thinking, but I have a plan, and I'm going to keep working with the style journal and recognizing all the ways I can begin to quiet the noise in my head. I'm going to keep working toward the style goal. And this doesn't have to be anything elaborate. For a lot of my clients, it's as simple as, I want to look put together, their version of put together, whatever that is, and we define it inside style therapy. I want to look put together more days than not. So they don't set what could be an unrealistic goal of, I want to look put together every day for the rest of my life. Obviously, that doesn't happen for me. And I know how to look put together every day of my life if I wanted to. Set a goal that allows you some wiggle room. It allows you to decide, you know what, I'm just wearing the lazy go-tos today, and that is great, and I feel good about that. Set a goal that feels a little bit out of reach because you're not there yet, but is still attainable. So as I said, for a lot of clients, they start with, I want to look and feel put together more often than not. So out of 7 days, you can decide what that is for you. If more often than not is 6 out of those 7 days, great. If it's 4 out of those 7 days, great. What you want to do is start noticing, how do you feel when you look and feel put together? Like, how does that day unfold versus how does the day unfold when you don't do that? Because if you feel better and operate better and are, just have better energy in general, when you look and feel put together, chances are you're going to begin to want that more often, to crave that more often. And because of the notes that you're taking and the records that you're keeping, it will be easier to keep replicating that put together look in different ways through your outfit formulas, and really truly begin to build a wardrobe that allows you to look put together and feel put together every time you get dressed, unless you decide today's a day when I don't actually care. It's all about learning to pay attention to what the thoughts are and the criticisms are that your brain is offering you. Because once you can see it more clearly, it's way easier to begin to shift it. I had a client who had a pretty elaborate style. Complex might be a little far out there, but it was not simple in any way. And she really believed that the only way to be stylish, based on some different things she had learned in her lifetime, she really believed that the only way to be stylish was to have this kind of complicated, interesting, intricate combination of clothing, combination of pieces that created an outfit that had lots of elements, lots of colors, lots of pattern, lots of layering, lots of stuff. And as we did this work and she got really clear on what that noise was in her brain and what those kind of negative self-thoughts were and that criticizing voice, she began to realize what she really craved was minimalism. And she had been scolding herself for kind of wanting that and leaning that way. And once she realized that she wanted a much more minimalistic wardrobe with way fewer pieces that were way simpler and much easier to put together, she changed her wardrobe little by little in our work together. And now there is no drama. There is absolutely no drama for her. The noise has quieted. There is no criticism because she's dressing authentically and wearing what really lights her up. And her brain can be quiet now because she's resolved what the struggle was in her mind. And there isn't that criticizing voice anymore. She's really, truly living in the style self-trust. So I'd love to know, what is that self-criticizing thought that loops through your brain most often? Usually there are a couple that we like to repeat over and over again, and they can be different for different women, but there are usually a couple. So tell me one. What is the one that is the loudest and the noisiest for you that you hear on repeat? And what is a way that you could begin to reframe that thought so that it would be something that you would actually say to your little girl self? I'd love to know. You can put it down in the comments. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I would love that. Style therapy is the way we do that. There are 2 levels of style therapy. There is essential and complete. There's a link down below that'll give you all the details. And we can hop on a consult call where I can talk you through the process. I'm going to ask you some questions and we can decide if it's a good fit for you right now. If you're not already following me over on Instagram, I would love to have you come over there. I share some other things over there, style related, that I can do a little quicker in stories and that sort of thing. I'm at Kristen Kane Style there also. And if you're not already on my email list, that is actually the place where I share kind of things first and go deep and you won't miss anything. There is a link down below. There is a freebie that will get you on my email list that's linked down below, and that is my Style Basics checklist, which I still stand behind. I believe that it is valuable information. It is not a must-haves list by any stretch, but it will walk you through how having the basics in your wardrobe really can make getting dressed easier, and it'll get you on my email list. That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a really beautiful week, and I'll be back next Friday. Thank you so much for being here.